Data protection laws are getting stricter every year, and websites need to comply with these rules to protect their visitors' data. Piwik PRO offers several privacy options to help you stay compliant, and in this video we'll go over each of them. It all starts when a visitor clicks on a form on your site, giving consent to collect and process their data. They can choose from the given types: analytics, A/B testing and personalization, conversion tracking, marketing automation, remarketing, user feedback, and your own custom consent. Consent Manager displaying the form is connected with both Tag Manager and Analytics module. When a visitor clicks on the consent form, giving their approval to process their data, and all the other conditions set for the tag are met, a specific tag or tags in Tag Manager is triggered. If your visitor doesn't give consent to any of these tracking options, the specific tag or tags for which consent was not given won't fire. Before we dive deeper into Piwik PRO Consent Manager and see how it can help your business stay compliant with data privacy regulations, let me show you some major privacy settings of Piwik PRO. You can set the consent type for each tag that you've created. Most tag templates have a consent type applied by default, but these settings can be easily changed. Just go to Menu, Tag Manager. From the website picker, choose the website you want to work with. Choose the tag you want to edit or add a new one. In Advanced Tag Settings, pick the consent type. By labeling each tag in Tag Manager with the appropriate consent type that you want to use when triggering it, you can ensure that your site is accurately reflecting the visitor's consent choices. Nevertheless, never forget to list the solutions you install via your Tag Manager in your privacy policy for full transparency. Now, let's go to the privacy section for the single property. It's located in the administration module of our platform. Just go to the Administration, Sites and Apps, choose your site, Privacy. Here you can toggle the Ask Visitors for Consent option to turn on or off the consent form on your website. Remember that it's on by default, meaning that we will show a consent form the moment you install our platform on your site. If the Ask Visitors for Consent option is off, the session ID and visitor cookies are still on by default. So even when the consent form is off, these are tracked by default. You can turn on and off the Use a Session ID option, which lets you temporarily identify users' session based on things like IP address or device configuration. This option can be used when we choose not to use cookies or when cookies cannot be created. For example, when they are blocked by the visitor's browser. You can also turn on and off the Use Visitors Cookies option. Just bear in mind that if both options are off, each page view and event will be considered as a separate session, since there is no mechanism for stitching events into one session. When the Ask Visitor for Consent option is on, you will use ours or a third-party consent management platform to trigger specific tags based on a consent. Now, if the visitor doesn't consent, you may still collect data using a 30-minute cookie for anonymous tracking. This cookie will be erased after 30 minutes from the last visitor's activity on the website, so the last recorded event. Piwik PRO will not be able to recognize this visitor on the next visit. This visitor will be considered just as if it was a new, unique visitor. As a result, with this option, you should expect a higher number of new, unique visitors. You may ask yourself if this approach is compliant. This option is used in our setup regulated by a French Data Protection Authority, CNIL. Also, other DPAs confirms this approach. Now, if you do it, please validate with your privacy team and inform your visitors in the consent form that even if they decline consent, some baseline metrics about their visit will be collected. You can also collect data without using cookies. Then you won't create or store any cookies on visitors' browsers. Nothing will be stored on visitors' devices. You will see data about the visitor's country. visitors' IP addresses will be fully masked. You can also decide not to collect any data. Then Piwik PRO won't track any data. This is in line with popular term, no consent, no tracking. Here, you can toggle to ask for consent in countries under the GDPR and UK GDPR. Based on IP address, only visitors located in EU or UK will have the consent form displayed to them and ask for data tracking consent. In this section, you can decide how long the consent is valid. By default, it is set for 12 months, and you can share consent between subdomains if you're using the same installation container between subdomains. Here you can toggle Use a custom consent form. If you don't want to use our form, you can use your own that you have developed. In this section, you can also turn on or off the following options. To comply with CNIL guidelines, which will hide the session log, report, and tracker debugger. Not to collect visitors' device data without consent, which is about various iPrivacy implementations in EU member states and the UK. In the IP addresses section, you can choose to mask IP addresses. The degree of masking depends on the level option you choose. With this option, you can use an additional layer to protect visitors' privacy. Please note that wherever you check the Global Setting checkbox, this sets the option Set up in Administration, Settings, Global Site and App Settings. Here you can toggle to collect data from unmasked IP addresses and choose the level of accuracy you want for location data, such as region or city. You can choose to use the global settings or the settings for a particular website property. If you want to change placements of cookies, you have to visit our Tag Manager module and click on Piwik PRO tag. It's our tracking tag. Here you can find some cookie-related options. Use visitor cookies. If turned off, you won't set visitors' cookies that are responsible for recognizing visitors and their sessions. Use secure cookies. If turned on, you will receive information for first-party cookies over a secure connection. Only websites with the HTTPS protocol will be able to access these cookies. Remove the visitor cookie at a custom time. The visitor cookie expires in 13 months by default. You can change the expire date here. Remove the session cookie at a custom time. The session cookie expires in 30 minutes by default. You can change the expire time here. Now, let's take a quick look at what Consent Manager is and what it can do for you. Consent Manager is a powerful tool that makes it easy for you to get consent for data collection and handle requests for data access or changes from your visitors. It helps you comply with privacy laws and regulations and ensures that you only fire tags to visitors who have given permission to do so. By default, a consent form is active on your website and new visitors will see it asking for consent to collect their data. This form will ask for specific reasons for data collection, such as analytics, conversion tracking, or remarketing, based on the type of tags you use. In Consent Manager, we have 3 tabs: Forms, Requests from Visitors, and Settings. In Forms, we have a Consent Forms section, where we can set up and edit consent forms and consent reminders. Here you can also find the Privacy Policy section, where you can add privacy settings to your privacy policy. Now that you have a better understanding of what Consent Manager is and what it does, let's get started with setting up a consent form for your website. This is a simple process that will only take a few minutes, so let's get started. First, head to the menu and select Consent Manager. From here, you will need to pick the website you want to work on using the website picker. Next, navigate to Forms and then select Consent Forms. It's a section where you can edit and set up a pop-up form that collects consent. From here, you will be able to choose the language you'd like to edit your form in. Once you've selected your language, it's time to choose your form type. You can choose between a bottom bar and a large pop-up. Let me show you what they look like. Here is a bottom bar and here is a large pop-up. Feel free to pick whichever you prefer. Now, Let's click on Edit Template to start editing your form. This is where you can get creative and make the form your own. You can change the text, background, font, and color to match your website style. You can also edit the buttons and links. When you're done, don't forget to click Save. The visual aspects of your changes like colors will be automatically applied to all language versions. But if you want to change the text or links, you must edit it in each language version. If the form type isn't selected, you will need to click Select to continue. You also have the option to show a success message, but keep in mind that this won't appear if the visitor closes the form. You can edit it the same way as your consent form by clicking on the Edit button. Don't forget to save your changes afterwards. Now, I'd like to show you how to set up a consent reminder for your website. It comes in handy when your visitors don't make any decision on the consent form. First, scroll down to Reminder section on the Consent Manager dashboard and turn on the Reminder toggle button. Then, simply choose the type of reminder you want to use. You have 4 options to choose from. Consent form. This option will display a consent form until your visitor makes a decision. They can close the form and browse your site, but they won't be able to access any blocked content until they give their consent. Consent form with blocked content. This option will also display a consent form, but your visitors won't be able to close it until they give their consent. Any blocked content will remain inaccessible until they do so. Bar reminder. This option will display a small bar at the top or bottom of your website, reminding visitors that they need to give their consent. It will be displayed if your visitor ignores your consent form and doesn't make any consent decision. Corner reminder. This option will display a small corner pop-up reminding visitors that they need to give their consent. This one will also be displayed if your visitor ignores your consent form and doesn't make any consent decision. Once you've chosen the type of reminder you want to use, simply save your changes. And that's it. If you've turned the consent form on under Administration, choose your site, Privacy, Ask Visitor for Consent, it will now appear on your site. Now we will go and check out the Privacy Policy section of our Consent Manager. Here you can add privacy settings to your privacy policy. It's also where you can add a form that your visitors can use if they want to access, change or delete their data. To edit and set up privacy settings, go to the Privacy Policy section of your consent form and select the language in which you want to edit your privacy settings. In Privacy Settings on your page, click Edit. Edit the paragraph in the editor. You can change the text, background, font, and color to match your website style. You can also edit the button and the border of the paragraph. When you're done, click Save. Click View the code and copy the code to the clipboard so you can paste the code into your privacy policy page. Add it to your privacy policy page so that your visitors can manage their privacy settings. You can paste the code anywhere on your page. The code will display your paragraph with a button. When visitors click on the button, they can set their privacy settings. It will allow them to change their consent even if they already given it. If you want to add a form that visitors can use to ask for access, change or delete their data to your privacy policy page, go to the Privacy Policy section of the Consent Manager and select the language in which you want to edit your privacy settings. In Form to collect data requests, click Edit. Edit your form in the editor. When you're done, click Save. Now you can edit success and error messages similarly. Click View the code and click Copy to Clipboard and paste the code into your privacy policy page. When your visitors submit the request form, you will see it under Consent Manager, Requests from Visitors. In the Requests from Visitors tab, you can manage requests from your visitors. It's the place where you can check if any of your visitors want to access, change, or delete their data from your records. According to the GDPR, you have to respond with undue delay, but not later than 30 calendar days. Here you can update the status of the request to see which one is already resolved. In the Settings tab, you have some additional settings like: you can set up the consent form to ask the visitor for consent again 6 months after the last consent. You can import settings from another site or app. You can add, remove, and manage your consent form languages. Here you can also check which of the languages is your default one and which ones are active. These are the major privacy options in Piwik PRO. With these options, you can safeguard visitors' data and comply with applicable laws. Thanks for watching.